Welcome to CyberShack Live, the live TV show that's running across Facebook and YouTube every Thursday, where we're looking at the latest and greatest from the tech industry. On the show today, we have got special guest Geoff Quattromani, friend of the show. We're talking about LG's 2020 roadmap of televisions. We're also looking at ID Safe. What does that mean? Plus, how to cook pizza and a whole lot more. In tech news this week, Telstra is looking for a game reviewer to look at the different games that are on the Xbox Game Pass. Now, you might have seen that Telstra is one of the retailers of this service. You can bundle Xbox Game Pass with different Telstra services, pay for it as part of your Telstra bill rather than paying directly to the Xbox people themselves. It's one of the things that Telstra has done for many, many years, bundling external services together with their services. This job, I guess you would call it, involves 10 reviews over a period from June to November, and you would be reviewing games that are on the game service that Xbox has. If that's something of interest to you, then follow it up directly with Telstra, but it doesn't sound too bad. It works out to about $2,500 per review. Not a bad job if you can get it. Also in the news this week, Facebook has agreed to a preliminary settlement of 52 million US dollars for past and present moderators of the Facebook service. These are employed people or previously employed people via Facebook, who have been affected with their mental health because of the content that they are moderating. Facebook has for many years now been using real humans, robots as well, but real humans, to look and clean the content that is on the Facebook service. And as you can no doubt imagine, some of that service is worse than what you would find in the worst gutters of the world. And no doubt it's affected people's mental health along the way, which is terrible to see. But we hope speedy recoveries for everybody involved in a negative way on that one. Finally, in the news this week, Alcatel, famous for making affordable smart devices, have announced and released the Alcatel 3L. This is going to be your $199 smartphone, and we're going to have the boss of Alcatel for this region of the world, Sam Skontos. He's going to join us on the show next week to talk about this smartphone. You might be in the market for a sub $200 smartphone with a whole bunch of features, including 3 rear cameras on the back. We're going to have that on next week's show for you. And that's tech news for this week.
Breville's appliances are reliable and innovative, and their new creation is no exception. Meet the Breville Smart Oven Pizziolo. The Pizziolo is the first benchtop oven that can reach 400 degrees Celsius to cook a wood-fired style pizza in less than 2 minutes. It replicates the heat produced by a wood-fired oven and provides an intelligent IQ baking system that cooks different styles of pizza perfectly every time. While the inside of the oven can reach extreme temperatures, the outside remains cool thanks to a double-pane front window and insulated heat chamber. The Element IQ system provides power to different elements to cook New York, thin and crispy, deep pan and frozen pizzas to perfection. Manual mode allows you to fully customize how your oven operates, with individually controlled deck and top temperatures. Using this mode, you can heat the crust more to achieve a crunchy crust without burning the toppings, or brown the toppings and crust evenly. Impress the family and friends by creating authentic homemade pizzas or calzones using recipe cards created by Breville to complement the Pizziolo.
The dark web, it's that place where we know of, but not many of us know that much about it. But it is a part of the internet where information is shared on a daily basis. And as we protect ourselves when we're on the internet, we also want to look at how the dark web is able to share information without us knowing and what level of protection we can do there. One company that is working on a new product that's designed to assist us in areas of the dark web as well is Trend Micro, and we thought we'd have a chat to Tim Falinsky. He's the Managing Director for Consumer for the Asia Pacific region for Trend Micro. How are you, Tim?
I'm good, thanks, Charlie.
So tell me about this product that you've got and what you're actually doing to provide protection on the dark web. For most of us, we know you around internet security for PCs and Macs, smartphones as well. We know you for protecting our connected devices in our homes with your home network security as well. But this is a new product that you've got. Tell us what you're doing here.
Well, we've been working for a little while on trying to develop a product that's going to help people secure their identity. Because as we move forward and we've seen the evolution of the way cyber criminals are attacking us, identity theft is becoming more prevalent. And we're seeing more and more attacks every year. And identity theft can be quite bad in that it can take up to 2 to 3 years for people to recover from it. And one of the biggest things that we saw that, last year, there was an estimated about $1.6 billion lost to Australians through some form of identity fraud. And everyone thinks that, how is that information spread around? And the internet's a very, very big place. And we all think, we can go and we can Google most things. But, that surface web or the area that we can actually see on the internet is only around 4 to 5% of the total internet. And therefore, how do you get access to sort of see what the cyber criminals are doing down below?
So when we talk about the dark web, we're talking about the transfer of information predominantly about us. And a lot of the time it's information that we don't even know is out there in public hands, isn't it? Because, we might have registered for a website. Let's pick an example, not specifically this one, but like many of us had a MySpace account many, many years ago, and we put our information onto there and just say that particular website, and I'm not being specific on MySpace, I'm giving that as an example of somewhere we put our information long ago. Just say that website got hacked, then our information could be in the public domain and being traded. Is this the area where you're providing some assistance?
Yeah, so what generally happened is virtually everything we do now, and especially under a COVID-19 area, everyone's doing a lot of online shopping, and everywhere we go, we need to create an account. And what we've seen in the past up to about 2018 is a lot of what we term account credentials being spread around, which is the stuff of your email address and a password to what you are. But more and more accounts now are actually getting identity attributes put in there as well, such as your date of birth, your address, and all the rest of it, allowing people to cross-reference who you are. So with the surface web of what we see around 4 or 5%, there is a vast amount of information that's stored by all these different companies around the world. And I think even last year alone, there was some 45 million attributes in Australia alone stolen from companies that were then spread around on the dark web and sold to cyber criminals out there to use to actually go about identity theft for us. So every single account that we open is actually creating a digital footprint that is allowing cyber criminals to therefore come and hack and assume your identity and use it to pose to either go and do a bank loan in your name, to create a credit card in your name with debt. And yes, banks will eventually help you out with this in a lot of cases if you can prove that you were not the person doing it. But that kind of stuff actually can take months and even years of your time and life. And in a lot of cases, you're without those funds for that amount of time.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Tim? Because I've actually met people that have had their identity stolen, and what is most prevalent in those discussions that I've had with them is the sheer amount of time that it's taken them to reverse the process, to undo what has happened to them. There's one lady in the United States that I met personally, not over the internet or anything. I was at an event over there when I was visiting a technology conference, and she said that that she was attempting to open a business and start a business, and they were running a credit check on her as a person, and they said, look, we can't open a business account in your name because your identification number, your social security number, which all Americans who are working have, has been linked to these 5 bank accounts that have been opened and shut down because of money laundering, and we think that those bank accounts were associated with the drug trade. Well, she had no idea that this was going on, and she said it was a 10-year process to go from where she was then to where she was now and have everything cleaned up.
That is actually quite a shocking case, and that shows you the extent of where it can get to. And Charlie, I've heard, and probably you have as well, many other stories like this. And it can be as simple as putting you out of pocket for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, compared to what this poor lady went through, is quite minor. But, you know, in these days, you know, I think everyone would like to have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 more in their pockets. And it's just that time and energy and effort it takes to go under. And I think at the early days of the internet, the fraud that was out there was quite small, and people such as banks were able to absorb it and help out their customers. But it is coming to a point where this is escalating. And I think now that more and more people are doing things online, it will, and we're forecasting that it will increase yet again. It's how do you actually stay in front of it? And one of the recent statistics we had from a survey we did of Australians is that more than 1 in 2, so 55% of Australians will check their accounts weekly to look for fraud. So I think, you know, as a country, we're very well aware of the dangers that are out there, but it is just so hard to keep on top of that. You mentioned MySpace before. Like, one of the big breaks or cracks that we saw, credential losses recently, was due to LinkedIn, where a hacker got in and got 6.5 million addresses out of that, out of LinkedIn. Now, they have 650 million accounts, so it was 1%. It was a minor breach from that particular point of view. But what happens if you were one of those 6.5 million people? So hence the reason we've gone ahead and developed a product that helps people know when they're at risk, when their information is being shopped around down in that dark web.
Okay, the product is called ID Security. Now, tell me, how does it work? Do I go and purchase this as a separate product, like as a standalone? Is it a bolt-on to your other internet security products out there? How are you packaging this with your other internet security products that you're offering customers at the moment?
We're packaging it in a number of ways, because with all the things we do, still that core, you know, malicious antivirus style software, internet security software is still needed. So therefore, we've created a package called Trem Micro Maximum Security Suite, or Premier Security Suite, which actually includes not only our internet security, but also Wi-Fi protection. And now we've added in identity security in addition to that. And it's quite a simple app that just runs on your mobile phone. And you can do it one of 2 ways, because we understand that some people are worried. Once a week, if you want, you can go in and plug in your email address, and it will go and do a check for you and tell you whether or not that data has been seen on the dark web. Likewise, you can actually give us your email address, and we will do what we term a monitoring service for you, where we won't actually put your information into the dark web, but we'll use a 256-bit encrypted hashing technique that will enable us to actually see whether or not your data is being used or shopped around in the dark web, and we will inform you of that when it's happening. And in our testing over the past year, as we've been developing this product, we're actually seeing that we're anywhere from 24 to 36 hours, anywhere up to 2 to 3 months, warning our customers that there has been a data breach in one of their addresses that they've given to us, prior to that company being aware of it and informing them. So this enables the customers to actually stay ahead, because we're not waiting for the companies to announce that they've been hacked. We're actually down in the dark web looking on your behalf. And it extends just beyond, I should say, your email address. We can also track for you everything, including your bank card or MasterCard or Visa card, and your tax file number here in Australia, as well as your passport number. So we can tell whether any of these kind of things have actually been stolen from an identity point of view and shopped around, to allow you to just stay ahead of anything that is going on and make sure that you put the appropriate safeguards in place.
Yeah, no doubt you'd know a lot more about the company that has lost that data as well, because I tell you what, if I understood that a company had lost my data recently and not informed me about it, I'd probably be asking some very firm questions of them as well. Tim Felinsky, Managing Director of Trend Micro's Consumer Business for APAC. Good to have a chat to you. Good to have you on the show, crossing in from Thredbo. Hope the snow starts to fall soon, mate, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Charlie.
After the holidays, it's back to school or work for most of us, and you may be in need of a new printer for the home or office. Epson's Workforce ET4750 Eco Tank would be a great choice, whether it's for simple home printing or heavy office work.
The ET4750 is a very capable printer with handy features like dual-side printing, a 30-sheet document feeder for scanning and copying, and network functions for easy printing from smartphones and tablets. The ET4750 is also compatible with Apple AirPrint or Google Cloud Print for printing documents straight from your iOS device, Android device, or direct from your Google account via Gmail or Google Docs, or without installing any drivers or software on your device.
The most noteworthy feature of the printer, however, is the refillable ink tanks. Instead of wasteful replacement cartridges that often cost a lot, Epson's EcoTank series printers use internal ink tanks that can be easily refilled by the user from ink bottles.
'Tis the season that new televisions are now being released into the Australian market, and there's lots of different vendors with lots of new models being announced and rolling into retail stores at the moment. So all the big retailers are showing the 2020 models. Some models are going to be delayed by a few months, partly because it's taken them longer to get their stock here because of factory shutdowns and all those kinds of things. But LG has been rolling out their 2020 stock over the last few weeks, and I've had a go of one of their OLED televisions, and so has our next guest, Geoff Quattromani. How are you, sir?
I'm really well, Charlie. How are you?
I'm good. Now, 2020 TVs, obviously better than 2019 TVs. You've tried the CX model of the LG OLED range. I have as well. Sad day when they took it back. But what was the main thing that you noticed when you set it up in your lounge room?
Look, I think the first thing I noticed was actually that no one should set these things up on their own. I think it's a scary thing to do. This TV is so thin. The base needs to be attached to the TV, and unless you've got two confident people to do it, don't do it yourself. Actually get someone to professionally install it was the first thing I noticed. But gladly, once it was sitting on my entertainment unit, it's unlike watching any other type of LED TV. It's just so much more immersive. The contrast is incredible, and those blacks. I mean, we've always talked about OLED being the best for blacks, and this year again, it's no exception.
You talk about setting the TV up in the first instance. For some reason, every single manufacturer has got a different way of placing their TV onto the entertainment unit. Doesn't matter whether it's the stand is on the edges and you've got to add it that way. The stand clips on from the back. The stand clips on from the front. It's almost harder than making Lego, setting this thing up in the first instance, especially if you don't read the instruction book for about 20 minutes.
Completely. And when you're dealing with a $5,500 TV, as this one was, you get quite nervous, especially when you haven't bought it. You almost feel like you're at risk of buying it if you break it. But the stand actually came in two pieces, which is something I didn't realize initially. So I had the first piece attached and tried to put it up on the stand, was not going to sit up straight. So unless you've got both pieces there, you're in a bit of strife otherwise.
The interesting thing about where we're seeing televisions this year is, especially with LG, is they're adding a lot more pre-installed apps that in the past we might have had an attached box to get that same or similar function. Things like the Apple TV app being built in and those kinds of things. Can you list some of those features for us and talk to us about the trend that's going on there?
Look, I would say LG has been making more handshakes than anybody else in the world. When you turn this TV on, you've got access to, Netflix, Stan, Amazon Prime, but then you've also got not just a full app store, but you've got Disney Plus, you've got Apple TV, so you don't need to buy an Apple TV and attach it to it anymore. It supports AirPlay too, so you can cast pretty much anything from your smartphone to the television as well, including screen mirroring. There's just so many features built in, and even supports HomeKit, which means you can control, your Apple-supported smart home devices from the television too. So when you start to look at all the different services there, all controlled through that one remote, you've really got a nice, simple experience on that one TV with no boxes attached at all.
The interesting thing as well is one of those handshakes has obviously been made to Google, yet they don't run the Google Android TV software on this. They've got their own WebOS software that runs it. With Google, there is still that deep integration of Google if you want it, right?
And this is what I loved, actually. You've got the choice of setting up both the Amazon Alexa voice assistant as well as the Google voice assistant. Now, with the Google one, the part that I love the most is instead of going through each app to look for what content you want to watch today, just actually asking the TV, show me movies with Kevin Spacey in it, would actually give you those results across all of those streaming apps that you're used to, spending too much time searching through. Or I even asked, show me movies that were filmed in Australia. And suddenly I'm getting all these different movie suggestions. So when you take what Google has from a voice assistant search capability and apply it to how we watch TV, it really changes that whole dynamic around what we actually do with our interactions. So less time clicking that remote and more time enjoying the TV.
One of the things that I noticed is that the TV I was looking at was 65 inch, and I've got an OLED TV there at the moment that's also 65 inch in my home. I couldn't imagine going anything smaller than that size. When you looked at this CX model of the LG OLED, the 65 inch version, could you imagine TV entertainment smaller than that size today?
I don't think you would want to. I think it would do a disservice to the TV for starters, but a 65-inch TV has become the new norm when it comes to talking to the brands, whether it's Samsung, LG, Hisense. They're all saying the same thing, that 65 inches in homes today is what people are buying. And actually the price has come down that it actually feels like a normal price to pay for televisions. You're also now seeing 77 and 88-inch models as well. So if you want to go bigger and bigger, you certainly can do that.
When you're looking at an OLED TV in 2020, what are some of the reasons you would buy the television from the 2020 stock versus the one that's on run out from 2019? For example, let's pick the same brand, LG versus LG. What are some of the differences that you're going to get in the 2020 versus the 2019 that you're probably going to use every day?
Look, to be honest, a lot of it comes down to those smart home integrations and even those smart TV functions that are now built in. Being able to use your voice to search across all of those different streaming services is one thing. Being able to see the status of your washing machine from the TV is another. But honestly, the panel and the technology is still fantastic. If you have a 2019 model, do not upgrade to 2020. And if you can get a good deal on a 2019 model, then you're not going to be missing too much. I think there are some new benefits, obviously. But honestly, if you want to save a buck, the 2019 range is still outstanding. And if you've got one, you should still be very happy with the TV you've bought.
It's one of those things where we go to CES in Las Vegas every year. It was the last tech expo that I went to before they were all cancelled because of the stay-at-home rules. And I saw what LG was doing. One of the things they were very active in was OLED, but they've got another format they're going to be pushing this year as well. We'll get you back on another time in the coming weeks to talk about that. LG's 2020 roadmap is rolling out through different stores at the moment. If you've got any questions, put it in the comments below. We'll get back to you as quickly as we can on that. Geoff Quattromani, good to have a chat to you as always.
Thank you, Charlie.
Time for some questions and answers. We get your emails through the website. Put your comments below. We'll get your questions either during the show or we'll answer them next week on the show. First question is from Paul. Cleaning the hard drive on his Mac. What is a software program that we've used that he can use? Well, there's one called CCleaner. Try that one. It's been around for a long time. Just make sure when you're installing CCleaner, they might use a sneaky method to get you to install somebody else's software as well at the same time. That's how they make money. So just when you're going through the installation process for a CCleaner, don't get the other program that you don't realize you're getting until it's already on your computer. Use that one and do it in steps. You can start with a basic clean, then you can be more specific about the areas of your hard drive, PC or Mac that you want to clean. Give that one a go. It's a free one and been out there for a while. We've used it ourselves. Next question, 5G, can you get sick from it? Well, not according to the World Health Organization, and so I would say no, because I don't understand why you would get sick from 5G. We've actually had 5G available in Australia for many, many years, not throughout the entire suburbs as we are rolling out at the moment, but it's actually been used and deployed in different areas of the community for decades, originally by the military, to remotely control the robots they used to blow up bombs, to remotely detonate bombs. That's kind of an interesting fact I saw on that one. So I'll say no to that question. Can 5G make you sick? Trevor wants to know, can you plug an iPad Air into a monitor? Yes, you can. Most certainly you can. There's some specific cabling that you need to get. If you wanted to do that, you need the Lightning to VGA adapter. There's some other ones out there as well. We'll put a link on the page to where you can actually read up some more information about this. But look, it's really quite easy to do, and a really good little setup to do at home if you're trying to add that extra screen environment to what you're doing with your iPad. Very, very cool. Next question was from Michelle, who wants to know, playing games and photos for her iPad, what is a great way to do it, especially because she wants to back up her photos. Well, if you stick with your iPad, it's going to and you're playing your games on that, it's going to save you progress of your games as you're going through. If you want to back up your photos, a great way to do it is with Google Photos. You can back them up there, and then you can share them quite easily to other devices as well. You can put them on different, if you've got other Google devices, you might have a Google TV, you might have another Google tablet, somebody else might have a Google phone. You can share your photos across those devices quite easily as well. So I'd stick with your iPad for playing games, and I would also try Google Photos for backing up your photos quickly and conveniently. Now, final question, how long does it take from when you purchase a Genie smartphone, the one that we've designed ourselves, until it's received by you? Well, when you do purchase a Genie device, it's dispatched that same day if you do it before 4 p.m. And they're all sent express post at the moment, because that's the fastest way to get stuff capital city to capital city and across to different regions as well. There was another courier service we used, but wow, it was taking 10 to 14 business days from Sydney to Perth. Express post is only a couple of days. It's much, much faster. So it costs a little bit more for us to do it, but that's okay. We want you to get these devices. So the other part of the question was, will we be running out? Do we have plenty of stock? We have a few devices on pallets that have just gone onto a ship in China. They are on their way here. We won't be running out of stock. We've made sure we've got plenty of stock of Genie Connect and Genie Plus, especially the two most popular Genie devices that are being purchased by Australians. So thank you very much for your support with those devices, and more details at g-mee.com on our safer smart device that we've designed ourselves. Now, thanks for tuning into the show and being part of another week of CyberShack Live. Big show coming up next week. We're going to be looking at a really good quality sub $200 smartphone that I think you're going to be really interested in, talking to the guys behind that. Plus, we'll have more of your questions. We're going to have another little giveaway that's going to give you the opportunity to win some software for your phone that will ensure your identity is further protected when you're on the internet. Plus, a whole heap more. Geoff Quattromani will be back as well. Thank you for tuning in. Catch you next week.